What's a sweet streeper? Well, your Mercury dealer wanted you to know. When it came to cars built by the Ford Motor Company, the Lincoln brand was the highline luxury car. Mercury was kind of in the middle, and Ford was more designed to be kind of the everyman car. Well, Mercury had a number of models that were basically the same as their Ford brothers, but jazzed up with more luxurious items. Maybe they were a little more quiet than the Ford counterpart. And that was the case for the Cougar. The Cougar is essentially a Mustang under the skin, but it was wrapped in a more refined, more stylish package that they actually kind of designed to be a little more European in its flavor. And the Cougar offered more luxury items than the Mustang did, but they did do a sport version, and that was called the XR7. The XR7 was a very popular car. In fact, Motor Trend named it Car of the Year for 1967. By 1969, you could get the Cougar in a convertible. They came in a bunch of different engine options, starting with a base model 351 cubic inch two-barrel, all the way up to a 428 cubic inch Cobra Jet Ram Air V8. And that's the one we're looking at today, which is one of only 96 made. You might not think of Mercury as a heavy hitter in the muscle car scene, but this 69 XR7 Cougar with the 428 Cobra Jet is a perfect example. One of the most striking features of this particular car is the paint code number 4, which is medium emerald metallic green paint. And you couple that with a stark white interior featuring white leather bucket seats and black accents with a white convertible top, and you've got a car that really looks sharp. That metallic green has a way of catching the light and kind of accentuating all of these carved body lines that you see going down the side of this particular Cougar. It's a really good looking car, and it is also fully loaded with cool options. Power top with a glass rear window. This thing has, of course, the 428 cubic inch engine, which makes 335 horsepower and tons of torque. It's got a C6 Cruise-O-Matic automatic transmission. The 335 horsepower 428 Cobra Jet V8 gave this Cougar some roar, and that came with a mandatory competition handling suspension package, which gave it cat-like reflexes. And the XR7 package featured the performance suspension, which was a larger front sway bar, a rear sway bar, specially valved shocks, and an upgraded spring, partially to keep that big block under control under the nose of the car, but also to help it go around turns and be a more comfortable driver. The rear axle features a traction lock differential and a 3.0 rear gear ratio, which means it's not going to be the quickest car off the line, but this 428 isn't designed to be a super high revving engine in the first place. They make a bunch of torque, and with that 3.0 gear, this is going to be a really nice cruiser going down the highway. It came new with F70 by 14 inch wide oval steel belted radial tires. There's some other neat options on this. The 428 features the Ram Air induction, which helps this thing breathe air a little bit better. Inside, you'll find a console, power steering, the Whisper air conditioning system, and an AM 8-track stereo radio. These 428 Cobra Jet Ram Air Cougar convertibles are a pretty rare bird, so it's always important to have accurate documentation if you find one. And this particular car comes with a Marty Auto Works report, and the Marty report, as it's known, takes a look at the VIN and trim tag information and then goes through actual Ford build records to come up with figures and statistics about how many of these particular cars were built. It's really a very valuable service if you're looking at an old Ford or an old Mercury product like this one. What we learned is that there was 412 of these cars built in this color, 245 with this paint and trim code, and only 96 which were built with this color, paint, trim, and engine and transmission. Another thing we have is a copy of the build sheet. And the build sheet is a document that goes along the assembly line with the car as it's being built to tell the people on the assembly line what items and options to install on the car to make it match what the customer ordered. Now the build sheet is usually stuffed underneath the seat or the gas tank or somewhere in there, so they often don't survive. This one is largely readable, but when you couple it with the Marty report, you've got good solid documentation showing this is an authentic 428 Cobra Jet Ram Air Cougar convertible. Although these Cougars were positioned as kind of a luxury car, Mercury was relying heavily on the success of various racers to try and sell these things to that super popular youth market. They actually came out with a flyer in '69 that appears to have been sponsored by Coca-Cola, which is kind of interesting. And they went as far as to create their own words to describe this thing, like streep scene and sweet streeper. And these words combine things like street and strip to get streep. And they actually have this definition page about what a streeper is and what streeping is and what a streep sweeper is, which would be somebody who beats all comers in a race, or a streep sleeper, a car that doesn't look like it is very fast, but it is. I guess it's a good thing that none of those words actually stuck. The one thing they did have in their pocket is a whole bunch of associations with some very successful racers. Cal Yarbrough was a good example. He raced a Mercury Cyclone in NASCAR, did very, very well. Dan Gurney raced Cougars, did really well. Dino Don Nicholson raced a Cobra Jet 428 car. And these guys were used to help project this high-performance image to the youth and hopefully move a lot of cars on the street. So the question is it a luxury car or a muscle car? Well, we'll let you decide. You can check us out on Facebook and on YouTube. And I don't know if you know, but there's a forum on our website at musclecaroftheweek.com where you can share comments and exchange pictures and interact with other fans of Muscle Car of the Week. We'll see you next time.